their spring football workouts with their annual spring game today at TCF Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. A perfect spring afternoon in the Twin Cities. What better way to spend it than on the football field for the Golden Gophers, who are looking to build off of a solid season a year ago that saw them in a New Year's Day bowl game for the first time under head coach Jerry Kill. Welcome to our coverage today on the Big Ten Network of the Minnesota Gophers spring football game. What a season it was for the Gophers a year ago as Jerry Kill's team continues to make step after step, climbing toward the top of the Big Ten Conference. Last year, Minnesota finished up the season with an impressive 8-5 record, had themselves in a position in the final game of the regular season to win a spot in the Big Ten title game. They wound up second in the Western Division with a 4-2 in-division mark. Went to the Citrus Bowl where they were beaten by Missouri, right in the middle of the pack, offensively and defensively, and an opportunistic team. But a team that felt internally they had already taken some of those steps. Now, after playing in that New Year's Day bowl game, they have believers outside the program. With Tom Linneman, I'm Anthony LaPanta. Hope you enjoy the game this afternoon. Tom, this is a team that whatever they thought inside, now they have believers outside when they were a game away from a spot in the Big Ten championship game.
They're ready to take the next step. Under Coach Kill, 3 wins, 6 wins. The last 2 years, it's been 8. And people are starting to take notice. When it was announced that Colorado State would be playing the Gophers in 2016, on Facebook and all the message boards, it wasn't, let's play and let's get a win against the bottom feeder of the Big Ten. It was, great, now we get a chance to show the nation what we can do against one of the Big Ten's top teams. That is a big departure from what the Gophers have faced in, say, the last 10 to 15 years.
And there are some intriguing stories to watch with this Gopher team throughout the day today and into next season. Minnesota has some key guys back, but also some holes to fill.
And the defensive backs are the strength of this team. If you look at these 4 guys, both the corners and the safety, led by Bodie Calhoun, you have playmakers. You have 3 to, all of them could potentially play in the NFL at some point. Mitch Leidner now has to take that next step. Last year, just 51% completion percentage. He's now the veteran, the undisputed leader of this team, and he's ready to do that. It's no secret that they have to replace 2 big playmakers. Max Williams will probably go in the first round of the NFL draft, and David Comm did everything for the Gophers last year on the ground. And finally, it's all about the program. They face TCU, who will likely be ranked 2nd in the country. What a perfect way to start a new campaign against one of the best in the country to make a big splash.
Well, the schedule is going to be challenging, no question. This year, the Gophers will be on the road at Ohio State. They'll be on the road at Iowa. Obviously, the matchups with Michigan and Wisconsin, Nebraska, some of the other elite in the Big Ten. And you mentioned the TCU game right out of the gates. Keep in mind that a year ago, late in the season, this team's sitting at 7-3 with 2 of the losses coming against Ohio State and TCU, 2 of the top 5 teams in the country.
Yeah, and if you look at the last couple of years, they beat Michigan last year. For the past 2 years, they've beaten Nebraska. So they have quality wins. If you look at, they have a lot of the traveling trophies now, which it used to be they would hope to get 1 in a season. That would be a big accomplishment. But this team has definitely taken the next step. This is Coach Kill's 5th year. And the expectations are much higher, not only within the program, because I think they already felt they were there, but from fans. There's just a much different buzz around this Gophers football team than was here last year at this time.
We'll talk much more about some of the specific personnel throughout the day today. You mentioned the secondary, which returns intact, but the key to this team is they have a quarterback with a full season of starting under his belt.
And it makes a massive difference as a quarterback because it just slows down. Every single year you play the quarterback position, everything comes together easier. And I think with Mitch Leidner, he does lose a couple weapons, but now he'll be able to take on more of that role this year. They'll be able to throw the ball more, and they'll be seeing some new weapons today. Hopefully we'll get a chance to take a look at what his playmakers for 2015 will be.
Justin Kazemius is with us on the sidelines here at TCF Bank Stadium today, and right now he's with the head coach.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm with 2014 Big Ten Coach of the Year, Jerry Kill. Coach Kill, time goes by fast. It's been 5 years since you got to the University of Minnesota. What would be your assessment of the state of the program in those 5 years?
Well, I think we just kind of moved it forward in a slow pace, and we've gotten better each year, and the quality kids have gotten better, and we've come a long way. You know, sometimes you got to step back and really see it, and sometimes I'm caught in that tunnel. But as I step back and look at it, it's amazing what these kids have done.
Offensively, you spent some time this offseason implementing a no-huddle offense. Give us some thoughts on the rationale behind that and how it progressed this spring.
Well, you know, the biggest thing is that, you know, you're going to play behind in some games. And I felt like, you know, we needed to be able to do things at a faster pace in those situations. We're still going to be a huddle team, but we'd like to mix it up as much as we can. But we felt in the long run we could utilize our personnel. It helps our defense also in preparation. And I think it gets you out of a bind when you become stagnant. We did that a little bit last year, and I think with the speed and the pace that you can pick some things up. So we experimented with it, and we'll see how it goes.
Speaking of personnel, you lose David Cobb, a star running back from a year ago, and All-American tight end Max Williams. How do you replace that production on offense?
Well, I think you do it with numbers, and we got some good players that have come in, and, you look at the great programs, they have great players leaving and they put great players in, and that's our job to do. And, we got some guys that I think can step up, and we're looking forward to see how they do.
Every coach loves a spring football practice, right? So the 15th day today of spring football practice, the spring game, what type of format will you guys have this afternoon, and what should fans expect?
Well, we'll do some individual and then some pass shell, just loosen up, and then we're going to put the ball on the ground and play. And the only thing we won't do is hit the quarterback. So we're going to go, a lot of people split it up. We're going to go good on good for a while. And we just want to see some kids get better and look at a lot of guys that we just not sure about right now. Let them get a lot more time and see how they do.
Good luck, Coach. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Back to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks to Coach Jerry Kill for joining us here this afternoon. We'll get spring football game about set to get rolling. Some 7-on-7 drills taking place right now with Minnesota's offense going against their back seven defensively. And that Minnesota offense will be led by a familiar face. Mitch Leidner is the returner at quarterback for Minnesota. Last year, finished strong, wound up with 11 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. Leidner is the rock, the stabilizing force for Minnesota's offense.
He certainly is. His 17 rushing touchdowns are third most for a quarterback in Minnesota history. But if you ask him, if you ask anyone in the program, the key is the completion percentage and being able to sustain drives. Last year, just 51%. Ideally, that should be up over 60. So it's how you game plan around that. I think running the football, there's no question that Mitch Leidner is as good as anyone in the Big Ten. It's taking the next step, throwing the football, and I think that's sort of where they need to go next.
KJ May, one of the returners we talked about earlier at the receiver position. May, the only player returning that had a touchdown catch a year ago for Minnesota, as you look at some of the numbers for them offensively. And everybody will talk about the need to be able to throw it more effectively. 13th in the league in pass yards per game, although Leidner was number 6 in passing efficiency.
And that's the big number that sticks out. If you look at what we just talked about with their receiving core, I think that's where you have a different group this year. If Isaiah Gentry and Gannon, some of these guys are able to become deep threats, that's where that 12th, 13th in the league turns into 5th or 6th. And that's the difference between 8 wins and, say, 9 or 10.
Justin, this is an offense last year that could run the football with the best programs in the country. The question this year, can they make enough plays through the air to keep defenses honest?
And I think that's been the question actually since Jerry Kill's been here. I think we all know they want to run the football first and run it well. They want to control the clock, the time of possession. But one thing they found out in this offseason when they went back and looked at film and went out and studied a couple other programs like Auburn is you bring in a little wrinkle like a no-huddle offense. They think that's the tool to help them get more balance and keep teams, maybe defensive teams, back on their heels a bit more. And I think the one thing you'll see with it today is it's a short passing game. It allows Mitch to get more confident with the shorter passes. It could be a running back coming out of the backfield. It could be an underneath route by a slot receiver. But it's been a spring that's been pretty successful on offense.
So we are just about set for actual scrimmage. The offense starts at the 35-yard line. They'll run a series and then continue to move the chains until they're stopped. Then they'll go back and re-rack at the 35-yard line. So this right here, essentially the number ones against the number ones. There are a few players missing. You mentioned the secondary. They'll give the day off to most of their proven players in that area, but we see Mitch Leidner calling the shots for the offense here. And as expected, Roderick Williams gets the start in the running back spot.
And sort of the no huddle is something to watch today. That is the new wrinkle.
Williams takes this one off the left side for a few. Tripped up inside on the play by Celestin.
This is exactly what Minnesota wants. Ultimately, they want a 3rd and 3 scenario. If the first drive of the spring game is any indicator, this is exactly where they want to be. They want to be able to run the football, control the line of scrimmage, then they can look to add some of those wrinkles.
So here's the first look at a 3rd down situation with Leidner in the gun. He'll make his first pass attempt of the day. He's looking for May up the sideline, and May makes the catch in one-on-one coverage for a big gain and a first down for the offense.
And I spoke with Leidner after practice. He talked about KJ May being his security blanket, the guy he knows exactly where he is. There, Mitch Leidner doing a perfect job of looking off the receiver, coming back to fade right into the sideline.
26-yard.
A perfect thrown ball and a great start for Leidner.
First look at Minnesota's no huddle, and we'll get a flag. There was early movement on the right end from the defensive front. We'll see which way they call it. But those are the kind of big plays that Minnesota hopes to be able to make on a more regular basis this coming season. And Jerry Kill talked about the fact that he feels he has guys that can stretch the field vertically this year.
That is the one big difference. That's not a high completion percentage type play, a fade like that. That's a very difficult throw right off the bat. So a good sign.
Offside against the defense, so the offense in now a 1st and 5 spot with 3 receivers and Williams still the running back. This time Leidner under center. Might be changing the play before he takes the snap, and it's Williams. Cuts it into the secondary, and he'll have another first down for the offense. Again, it's Celestin on the defensive play. Had help from McGee on the tackle.
You have to give Roderick Williams a lot of credit. One of the goals that Coach Kill and the staff had for him was you have to be accountable, you have to lose some weight, you have to be quicker. And there you saw a quick little slide step that allowed him to get the first down. That's a 20-pound weight loss just this year. That's the difference. That's why you want to be in a different shape.
Williams takes it again, his 4th carry on this drive. Bounces off one tackle, and he's down about 3 yards shy of another first down for the offense.
Williams isn't a brand new player. He played a lot as a freshman. But coming in, this is his job essentially to lose. And from the start of this spring game, he's performed every bit as the way he's wanted to. And he does look quicker. He looks a lot quicker than he was in last year's campaign.
Most experienced returning runner in terms of attempts, 140 career rushes. And this is 5th carry on this drive. This time he stopped in the backfield, and once again it'll bring up a 3rd down for the Gopher offense. The last time it was 3rd and short, they went to a fade. Here they're in close range of the goal line, so we'll see what Jerry Kill and the offense will turn to here in another 3rd down situation. These spots last year were such no-brainer decisions. Hand the ball to David Cobb. This year might be different. 2 receivers to the right. Bring Carter in motion, and they give up the middle. It'll be a first down carry and then some, as Williams is all the way to the goal line and in. Touchdown for the offense. An impressive physical run for Roderick Williams.
Well, when it comes to the spring game, you want to see guys that step up and take control. This opening drive was all Roderick Williams. A nice throw by Leidner. But if you're looking for a guy to say, does he really want it? Does he want to elevate like David Cobb did last year? I think you have your answer on that first drive.
Ryan Santoso returning as Minnesota's place kicker, on for the extra point. And he bangs it through. Impressive first drive for Minnesota's offense. And as Justin mentioned earlier, this team is defined by their ability to run the football. But You have to be able to make that occasional big play through the air, and that drive might be the perfect template for Jerry Kill. Pound him on the ground. Williams carries 6 times, finishes in the red zone, but the drive was extended when they were able to make the one big throw.
That's exactly what happened, and you don't want to lend yourself to hyperbole here. It was a great offensive drive, but you have to understand, defense is always ahead of the offense, especially in spring and the first, say, week of camp. So the fact that the Minnesota offense was able to essentially go down the field fairly easily is even more important because of the timing of this game.
It's interesting because Tracy Claeys talked this week about the fact that one of the big questions he wanted to answer was which guys could step up and play physically. Said they use spring practice to be very physical throughout, not just today, but throughout the workouts, because they really can't hit each other as much during the fall. And he said, we want to be very physical as a defense in this spring game. On that drive, the offense was clearly the aggressor. And here with Streveler now in at quarterback for Minnesota, Rodney Smith takes the first carry on the second possession. Minnesota brings back a number of guys who were huge parts of their defense last year. We mentioned that these guys in the secondary won't likely see much time today, but some of the others we will see a great deal. With the Ekpays up front, Steven Richardson, who got so much time as a freshman at the nose guard position last year. Second carry off the right side for Rodney Smith. This is the freshman back to whom you referred earlier.
Yeah, I loved watching Rodney Smith in practice this week. He has a burst out of the backfield. He's from Georgia, big-time football school, and they really like it. I think that there's not a whole lot of drop-off between he and Roderick Williams. I think Roderick Williams, as you saw him carry defenders into the end zone on that last drive, probably has that advantage. But in terms of burst, they don't lose anything with Rodney Smith.
Streveler faced with third down and long, drops back and throws underneath, has his man, but he's going to be well shy of first down yardage, and Minnesota will be forced to punt it this time after a 3-and-out.
Even had that ball been completed, it would have been short of the first down. And that's another thing that, as a coaching staff, you want to see decision-making and where a quarterback's going to throw the ball. It's clear that Streveler will be the backup going in. It's unfortunate that Jock Parra hurt his thumb because he's a guy from Roseville, a local kid who they really liked. Gatorade Player of the Year in Minnesota. But Streveler will be the backup. You want to understand the decision making. If it is 3rd and 7 to throw a 3rd and 5, a 5-yard play, even if it's not completed, is that where you want to go with the football?
So now the first group back in offensively with Leidner back in at quarterback. They'll start this series at the 45-yard line, and Berkeley Edwards gets this series at the running back spot. Has about a yard off the left side. Edwards, a player about whom the Gophers were very excited last year. His speed, his ability to make plays on the edge offensively, a little bit different from the style of runners they had with Cobb or Williams. This time Leidner keeps it, and the quarterbacks will not be tackled today, so he's tagged down after a short gain, and it's another 3rd and long for the offense.
That actually plays into the defense's hands, too, I think, because Mitch Leidner can break a lot of those tackles. I talked to Mitch this week and asked him how many plays he thought he'd get out of the 90, and he said 100. So I think it's going to be more like 10 or 15.
Leidner faced with a 3rd and long here. 4 receivers in for Minnesota. Leidner drops, steps up, and throws low. Incomplete. He was looking for K.J. May, who was well covered on the far side. It'll be another 3-and-out for Minnesota's offense. And the defense, after being pushed around a bit on the first drive, has stepped up now. This time it was Craig James supplying the one-on-one coverage.
And Craig James is a guy that they want to take a look at to understand, does he fit into that nickel or that dime defense? Pretty tough to crack the starting lineup given the group they have. But James has a lot of experience on special teams and certainly will be in the mix. Making plays in the spring game. I was talking with Jerry Kill the other day, and he talked about this being the last taste in your mouth, the last time the coaches will see a guy play, and that sort of sticks into your head. So making plays in spring games absolutely matter because that's the last time you'll see it.
So they start a new series on the 45 going in. Strebler back at quarterback for Minnesota. Edwards gets a second series as the tailback. Edwards is the second man through and not much running room. In fact, he's probably stopped short of the line of scrimmage. I want to welcome all of you who just wrapped up watching the University of Nebraska spring game in Lincoln. This is the University of Minnesota Golden Gopher spring football game from TCF Bank Stadium. Chris Strebler, the second quarterback for Minnesota, throws this one short. And Tuschinski makes the catch, but he's stopped. It'll be a 3rd and long. Let's check in on the sidelines with Justin Konzemius.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. Great day, obviously, for a spring game here in Minnesota. You know, talking to Coach Kill before the game, he said he learned a lot in watching Duke's run with Coach K to the Final Four, and said, you know, one thing is we're going to play a lot of young players. And when you look at the offense right now with the receiving group of, you know, Desmond Gant and Melvin Holland and Isaiah Gentry, and, you know, even think of Jeff Jones, you know, lots of young talent on this team, and they're not going to sit on the bench and wait. And I think that is going to be one of the keys in that group to see how these young wide receivers can come of age quickly.
We've seen one big pass completion already for Minnesota, but here they'll reset at the 30 and will reset and be back at TCF Bank Stadium in a moment. Perfect afternoon here at TCF Bank Stadium on the campus of the University of Minnesota. Mitch Leidner's back in at quarterback for Minnesota, and he'll be whistled down. Quarterback's not live here today, so Andrew Stelter credited with a quarterback sack. Justin Konzemius is on the sidelines with Tom Linneman. I'm Anthony LaPanta. As Minnesota goes offense against defense here today, each drive starting for the offense on their 30. One of the key challenges for Minnesota this year is to replace tight end Max Williams. He's on the sidelines with Justin.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm here with Max Williams. Max, an All-American a year ago. Tell us about the thought process of making your decision to leave early and go have a chance to play professional football.
You know, a lot went into it. It's a lot of time sitting down with my parents and Coach Kayla really talking about it, and ultimately it came down for a few personal reasons and just seeing what's best for me and my family.
What's happened the last few months with your workouts, and what have you been doing?
You know, it's just been a lot of training, getting ready to go for this draft, and going to the rookie camp, mini camp, so it's just kind of trying to get in the best shape of my life.
The draft comes up in a few weeks here. If you had your chance, where would you like to play?
Anyone who wants to draft me. I have no preference. Whatever happens, happens.
Now, looking back at the Gopher team now, the guys that you left a year ago, what are your thoughts on the program, and where do you expect to see these guys next year?
I mean, they got better like everyone else does in the offseason. I expect them to do better than we did this year and go to the Big Ten Championship and win it.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Max.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, I'm feeling awfully small next to Max Williams.
All right, Max Williams. There was another guy we're talking with Brock Vereen the other day. I asked him what kind of advice he gave to Max Williams heading into the combine, into the draft, and he said it's the most stressful 4 days of your life, but you just be honest, because all the coaches know exactly what the answers are to every question. So just tell them the truth.
Big play here on the ground for Rodney Smith. And the offense will pick up a first down into plus territory on the 42. Chris Strebler running this second group offensively, and this is a player we've talked about a little bit already today. Rodney Smith showing a little explosiveness.
That's that ability to get to the second level for him. Rodney Smith will be the feature back at some point in his Minnesota career. It's a question of when. But after you saw the way that Roderick Williams played on that first drive, unfortunately, TV viewers didn't get to see it. It was an extremely efficient first drive that Minnesota had. Roderick Williams shouldering the load, 6 carries for 33 yards in that first drive. Now it's understanding what depth there is behind him.
Strebler keeps it this time, and very little running room. Penetration came from Steven Richardson, their second-year interior lineman. And another look at Minnesota's no-huddle approach. You heard Jerry Kill talk about it. Tracy Claeys told me this week that the big challenge today is to find out about the guys that you don't already have a book. And Smith is that guy. Williams carried the load on that first drive. They know what they have in Williams. They want to find out what they have in Smith.
Yeah, there's only so much you can glean from practice, especially when there's limited contact. This is game situation.
Strebler throws. Jones, and it's incomplete on the near sideline. In and out of the hands of Melvin Holland, one of the young receivers that redshirted last year for Minnesota.
And Holland, being a young receiver, as soon as he comes out of that cut, you got to turn your head because that ball was on him immediately. I think it surprised him a little bit.
Holland, one of 4 receivers for Minnesota that redshirted last season. Throw Jones in as a player to watch this year for Minnesota. You'll see a few of them right here in this set. Gentry and Jones are wide to the right. They go to Smith inside on a 4th down play, and he is stopped short of the first down sticks. Well, let's head back down to the sidelines. Justin Fitzsimmons.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with President Eric Kaler. President Kaler, this program's come a long ways in 5 years with Jerry Kill. What are your thoughts on the state of the program and Coach Kill in this program?
Well, I'm just thrilled about what Jerry's been able to do. He just brings a sense of integrity, number one, to the program. It's translated into success on the field, success in the classroom for our student athletes, great recruiting. We're bringing a different caliber of athlete to the U than we have in the past, and we're just pointed in the right direction. Great group of coaches who've been with him forever, and that says a lot about a person when you retain that kind of talent for that long.
A big part of Division I athletics is facilities, and you guys made a big plan over the recent months about really upgrading the facilities here. Can you tell us about that plan and the timeline?
Sure, we're working hard on it. We're at a $70 million level right now in terms of money that we've raised, and we're excited about that. We've got other donors in the pipeline, so we're going to get it done. We need it for our student athletes. We need it for the program to be competitive, and we're going to get it done.
How does the facilities, how does it directly benefit, you believe, the football program?
Well, it benefits all 750 of our student athletes, men and women. But certainly in the football space, our indoor practice facility is just pretty in need of some work. And so being able to have a space, particularly in Minnesota weather, where we can get that indoor practice done is important.
I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. You're doing a great job at the university.
Thanks very much.
Back up to you guys in the booth.
Thanks, Justin. One of the things you heard President Eric Kaler mention there is the tenure together that this staff has. We talked about a little bit from a program cohesiveness, a little bit of trust back and forth, but he mentioned it from the personality standpoint, what it means about the caliber of person you have. And I think that goes a long way when you start to look at guys that have followed Coach Jerry Kill from stop to stop throughout his coaching career.
It says a lot. And the opportunity that Tracy Claeys and some of these other coaches have had and will have, there's such a trust and such a loyalty of the way that Jerry Kill does things. And that's very rare in major big-time sports. But it also shows a commitment by President Kaler to have, at least moving forward towards a facility. Because let's face it, in modern recruiting, there's a couple things that matter. Number one is you want to have a great education, ideally. Number two, it's all about the facilities. And I think when you walk into the University of Miami or Nebraska and you see some of these places, I mean, it's like Lifetime Fitness in there. It's unbelievable. And then you come to a school that maybe doesn't have the same level of facilities. It's awful hard for a recruit to see the commitment to the football program. If they say, wow, Nebraska's this committed, I want to understand how committed Minnesota is. So I think that does directly translate into then the recruits you get as well.
Saw some of those sketches for the proposed new program, and it looks like it'll be a beautiful facility. The Big Ten Digital Network saw the offense start out the last series backed up deep in their own territory. This time they'll go back to starting at the 30, and we get our third quarterback of the day. This is Connor Rhoda, who played his high school football right here in the Twin Cities at Cretin-Derham Hall. Rhoda takes this one off the right side himself for a gain of about 4. Jacob Kirsch is the running back in this offensive grouping for Minnesota.
It's pretty much quarterback high school in Minnesota. If you look at the quarterbacks who have been through Cretin-Derham Hall, Chris Winkie, Joe Mauer, Steve Walsh, a number of them. Just a walk-on, Connor Rhoda, but a good early look. He's going to get much more of a chance now with Jacques Parr being hurt. This is a perfect opportunity for a walk-on type of guy to have a chance to to show Coach Kill what he can do.
First down here for the offense. Parra, you mentioned, was one of 4 quarterbacks at the beginning of spring camp for Minnesota, as Rhoda delivers this one. And it's caught by Desmond Gant. Parra was the 2013 Minnesota High School Player of the Year. He's out today with a sprained thumb, so there are only 3 quarterbacks dressed today for Minnesota. We've seen 2 of them already in Leidner and Strevler. Now we see the 3rd in Connor Rhoda.
I can't imagine Mitch Leidner is going to see a ton more action. So Rhoda will get a good shot.
Gophers will be faced now offensively here with a 3rd down and long situation. These are the points in the day where the coaches are trying to learn how guys will respond in full-speed game-type situations.
Even getting plays in from the sideline. I mean, you can't underestimate how complicated it is in a game scenario. This isn't a practice.
Even just the simple element of having coaches on the sidelines only rather than standing behind the huddles in the sets. Here Rhoda avoids pressure and then throws over the middle, incomplete. And that drive comes to a halt for the Minnesota offense. We'll continue with the Golden Gopher spring football game in a moment. Gopher spring football game continues. Jerry Kill looking on the sidelines. He has to find a way to replace a man that rushed for over 1,600 yards last year. That's David Cobb, who's with Justin Konzemius.
Thanks, Anthony. Here with David Cobb, all Big Ten running back from 2014. A breakout year a year ago, a school record in terms of yards in one season. David, walk us through what happened last year. You just had a big year.
Right, and I think it was just a combination of not just me, but me getting a little better, but our O-line, you know, having another year experience under the belt, and coaches kind of believing in us a little more and giving us a little free range, and guys getting bigger and stronger. And I mean, those guys, they were tremendous for me all season, and double teaming, single blocking, solo blocking, and it was a good year for me.
January 1st, your time as a Golden Gopher ends. What have you been doing since that time to get ready to play football at the next level?
Oh, it's been a process, and it's been what you always dream for. And it's, you know, ever since the bowl game, you know, you fly out to L.A. and you train for the combine. And unfortunately, I got hurt, but I had a chance to come back and have a pro day. And just Cammy, the trainer's been working with me nonstop. And again, it's been a time of my life, you know, something I always dreamed about doing, and I've had a blast doing it.
You got a lot of young guys here trying to replace you. Tell us your thoughts on Roderick Williams and Berkeley Edwards and what they can do to try to replace the yardage that you put up last year.
I mean, it'll be a committee, and Roderick, he looks good, and he lost a little weight, and he's moving better and still powerful. And you have Rodney and Jeff Jones and even Jake and a couple of guys coming in, and all of those guys, they'll contribute, but Nugget, he'll lead the way, and he's a senior, and he's played a lot of games, and he's a big guy to bring down, so he'll have a great year.
Be honest with me, your days of the Golden Gopher are done. Do you really miss spring football?
I don't miss spring football at all, but I miss being out here with the guys and, you know, competing, talking a little trash against the defense, but I'm not sure about the 14, 15 practice.
David, best of luck Monday. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yes, sir.
Back to you guys in the booth.
One of the other benefits of having Cobb having such a breakout year is the good high school running backs see that you can be featured in this system and you can eventually get to the NFL. And if you look at the incoming freshmen, Shannon Brooks led Georgia in rushing. He's coming in to play for the Gophers. James Johannesson, he's a stud from North Dakota. Jonathan Femi Cole, another kid from Canada. You start to get different recruits once they see running backs go in the mid-rounds because they can sort of visualize, well, that could be me now. Versus if you have a school that hasn't put a running back in the NFL for a while, they're not going to be as interested. So I think it does impact beyond just on the field here. It brings in other recruits.
No doubt about it. The numbers in the season that Cobb compiled a year ago, first Gopher to rush for 1,000 yards in consecutive seasons since Lawrence Maroney, and did it in some of the biggest games on biggest stages. Certainly has a future in football at the next level. But even getting Running backs in from north of the border. You'll understand there's only 11 players, right?
After living in Canada for 3 years, I actually recognize Jonathan Deming. There aren't the elite type of running backs, but it's great that Minnesota is getting one.
Jerry Kill has called the team around him in the middle of the field here. And we'll step aside. When we return, we'll continue with the Golden Gopher spring football game on the Big Ten Network. Change directions, a second half, I guess we'll call it, of the spring football game. The only time the offense has scored was the very first drive of the game. Leidner hit KJ May with one big throw. Roderick Williams did most of the damage on the ground. Mitch Leidner back in here at quarterback. Smith is his running back in a 4-receiver set here on a 3rd and long. Stands in, delivers on time, on target, and it's caught by Carter for a 1st down on a 3rd and long.
And that's exactly the type of throw that elevates Leidner from, say, last year's offensive passing attack to what they want to have in 2015. That's a perfect deep out. That's exactly what you want to see on Saturdays in the fall. And so that's what this spring game is about. Leidner's not going to get a ton more snaps, but showing that, I think, does a lot for not only his confidence, but also the coaching staff to open up that playbook to understand how they can have more balance versus exclusively going through the running game.
Leidner to throw it again, and it's caught by Jones for a gain of about 5. This is a receiver about whom the Gophers are very excited. Jeff Jones, a running back in high school at Minneapolis Washburn, but they think he can be a difference maker on the outside.
And I absolutely agree with him. I saw Jeff Jones all week in practice this week, and they moved him around primarily in the slot, but he has that ability, that Percy Harvin or Wes Welker type ability to make plays, and also to give Leidner options to make different types of throws. Whereas last year he was throwing to Max Williams. Take a look at Jeff Jones and the athleticism that he brings running away from defenders.
Speed, explosiveness, physical play. Saw a little bit of time on the outside during his high school days. May has this catch as Leidner suddenly opening things up a bit for Minnesota offensively. And it's another 1st down on a 3rd down.
It's a second consecutive 3rd down throw, both to the outside. Whereas last year you would have expected Max Williams to be the target. Leidner getting good production out of the wide receivers, something that Minnesota really needs to do. And that's one of the answers that they're looking for today is, can they get receivers downfield in the passing game?
Deep drop by Leidner, flush from the pocket, and he'll be whistled down. Quarterback's not live today, so this whistle results in a sack. Ekpe on the sack for Minnesota. One of the significant contributors for Minnesota on the outside is not playing today. It's Drew Wolotarski, who's out with the flu. He will certainly be in the mix for Minnesota at the receiver position. 2nd down and 10. Leidner goes under center this time. KJ May is the leading returning receiver for the Gophers. Had 16 catches last year. Edwards tripped up in the backfield. Good penetration on the play by Alex Keith, and it's 3rd and long for the Gopher offense.
Really blown up there by Alex Keith. Perfect play. He'll be a returning starter on that Gopher defense. The defense has been stepped, with the exception of that first drive. Gophers defensive starters, and remember, they're not playing most of their secondary today at all.
Defense comes on a blitz here, and Leidner got rid of it, but overshot Jones on the sideline. And Minnesota misses on 3rd down and long. They'll reset. Last season for Minnesota, some significant steps forward for the Golden Gophers. Sprinted from the gate, 6-1, included a win at Michigan, where they claimed the Little Brown Jug. Then they lost 2 of the next 4. A head scratcher against Illinois and a Tight one against Ohio State. Rebounded and had a chance with a win against Wisconsin to advance to the Big Ten championship game. The Badgers rallied to win that game. Minnesota still advanced to a New Year's Day bowl game where they were beaten by Missouri. But to be in a game where you had a chance to advance to the Big Ten championship game tells you the strides that the program has made under Jerry Kill. Actually had an 11-point lead early in that game against Wisconsin, and that was one of the points when I asked Coach Kill about it this week. He said, look, we didn't go into that game happy to be there. We went in feeling like we should win the football game, and if we had made a couple of plays, we'd have put ourselves in the Big Ten title game.
Yeah, I don't think the coaching staff was surprised, but it certainly surprised a lot of Gopher football fans who really, even making a bowl game has been magical, but to be in New Year's Day, it's a very similar parallel. If you look at a couple other programs, Michigan State, and what Coach D'Antonio has done.
Here's Chris Streveler, and he's going to take it the distance for the touchdown. There's been some question as to whether or not Streveler can throw it accurately enough, often enough, to give you an option at the quarterback spot, but the one thing that's known for sure is that he can beat you with his feet.
Hey, it's a very similar parallel. If you look at a couple other programs, Michigan State, and what Coach D'Antonio has done. Well, that's what Streveler did last year against San Jose State. Basically, he ran for, 161 yards. He's fast. He can fly.
Ran for over 200 and a touchdown for the season last year. And for just the second time today, the Gopher offense has scored, this time on a 64-yard run by Chris Streveler.
Anthony?
I think I could beat Goldie. I don't think I could beat Chris Streveler.
I think that's been established.
Certainly not in a 64-yard sprint. Streveler just went in from 64 yards out. And now it's Leidner back in at quarterback. Leidner on the last drive hit a couple of key throws for the day. He's hit 5 of 8. His favorite target, not surprisingly, has been KJ May, number 1. So Leidner back in at the quarterback spot here for a 2nd and long on the plus side of the field for the Minnesota offense. Ganton Holland is receivers to the left. He throws short over the middle. He's looking for Rodney Smith out of the backfield, but missed him. It'll be 3rd and long.
This is exactly the scenario that the coaching staff wants, though, is 3rd and long. To see, this game doesn't matter in terms of the bowl standings. So you want to put Leidner in these situations, a 3rd and long, where they're forced to throw the ball, and the defense knows they're going to throw. This is exactly the practice and the reason why spring ball exists.
Leidner throws incomplete. Jones looking for a flag. He won't get one. It's covered well by Ace Rogers on the play. Earlier today, Justin Konzemius caught up with Lisa Lewis from the U of M Alumni Association.
I'm here with Lisa Lewis, President and CEO of the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. Lisa, the university is a big place. There's a lot of alumni. How many are there, and who's involved in the Alumni Association?
Justin, there are 445,000 alumni living and working around the world. And if you have a degree from the University of Minnesota, you're part of the Alumni Association. Every graduate matters and is part of a gigantic global Gopher family.
What are some of the primary goals of the association?
We have 3 real big goals. One is to enrich the lives of our alumni, and that's through career services, lifelong learning, networking, and things that help alumni enrich their lives. Second is we want to support student success. Students have career aspirations, and we want to tap the talented alumni network to help them fulfill their dreams. And last, we want to advance the University of Minnesota and the value of every degree.
If someone is out there and wants to be involved, what do they do?
Well, there's lots of ways alumni can get involved. They can mentor a student, they can hire a student, they can get involved in activities right in their neighborhood with our international chapters around the world. In addition, they can come back for homecoming. September 26th is our homecoming football game. They can buy tickets to their favorite Gopher sport. We want to fill every stadium for every home game and show the Gopher pride around the world. And the best way to connect is to become a member of the Alumni Association. Membership dues help support our mission. They can connect by going to minnesotaalumni.org, our website, and find all the information they need to connect.
Great. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, Justin. While we were listening, you may have seen Ryan Santoso bang one through from 56 yards away. That eclipses what in a regular game his career long has been. Last year he made 12 of 18 field goals with a long of 52.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Rhoda now back in at quarterback for Minnesota. Connor Rhoda from Cretin-Durham Hall High School throws on the sideline, caught short of a first down. And it'll be a 3rd and short. Michael Conway on the receiving end.
Ryan Santoso is on the same plan as Roderick Williams. He's lost a ton of weight too. Remember last year he had the 52-yarder to beat Purdue. He was Under Armour All-American coming out of high school, out of Florida. And that 56-yard field goal was good from much further than that. It's a great sign for the special team. Special teams is a strength for Minnesota. Shortell was the punter of the year. And if Santoso can deliver 56-yard field goals, it adds a terrific dimension for this Gopher offense.
Rhoda hits Sardina here, but he's stopped well short. In fact, he loses yardage on the play, so it will again be time to reset things offensively. Let's once again check in with Justin Konzemius.
Hey, guys. Guys, I'm here with punter Peter Mortel, not just a punter, a holder. Led the team in receptions a year ago.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm at my best when I'm home field goals. That's definitely the fact there.
Okay, 45.5 yards, a kick, a punt a year ago. What do you do in the offseason trying to improve your punting game?
You know, I definitely was happy with how the year went, but, you know, we can always get better. This offseason, you know, there were some things that I definitely wanted to improve upon, especially when we crossed the 50 and pinning our guys deep. So happy with how the year went, but definitely still need to keep getting better.
Tell us about that 56-yard field goal we just saw.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that the hold was great. The kicking, and it was an average kick. But, no, it was a good kick by Ryan. He got a hold of it. It shows he has a really powerful leg, and he can do a lot of big things for us.
Peter Mortel, you're known for social media. How can fans reach out and be a part of the Peter Mortel social media bandwagon?
Just keep reaching out. Everyone's been really cool about it. You know, we have the Minnesota Specials account. We love having fun with everyone here in Minnesota. So, just tweet at us, @MinSpecialist.
I'll tell you what, the special teams group here is a fun group, but a really important group for this football team. What would you guys need to do just in general? How do you guys make this team better next year? Is it coverage? Is it kicking? What do you guys do collectively to try to take this to the next level?
Yeah, I think people know, and definitely our coaching staff understands that we can have a significant impact on the game. And, you know, whether it's helping our defense out by pinning them deep, or, you know, also, you know, if our offense is struggling, making sure to get points on the board as a field goal unit. You know, we're definitely really important, and we can have an impact on this team, definitely.
All right, Peter, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Back up to the booth.
We should, for context, explain that as Peter is ribbing Santoso a little bit for his kick, that Santoso is peering over the shoulder of the cameraman, trying to get his holder to crack up on in the situation. But what a big part of Minnesota's success last year and a big part of their expectations for this year, right on the shoulders of those two guys. Santoso with the big, powerful leg. And it's interesting when you hear Mortel talk. He's averaged over 44 yards a kick the last couple of years. But he's talked about the need to be more precise when the Gophers are on the plus side of the field, that he wants to eliminate touchbacks this year and focus on being more efficient getting the football inside the 20-yard line.
You know, those guys have a lot of fun, and you can see them wearing the visors. And, you know, in a football team, there's always the punters and the kickers take a little bit of heat. But they make such a difference in terms of field position. And when it comes to the specifics of their craft, it's those little things. It's punting, not all punting your coverage or not kicking the ball in the end zone. That makes a massive difference in field position. It's pretty cool, though, to see the University of Minnesota and Coach Kill allow the players to be themselves a little bit, right? You know, I love Mortel on Twitter. He's wearing a visor, which, of course, a punter's wearing a visor, perpetuating the stereotype. But it's cool to see that these kids they're still student athletes. They're still having a great time playing football.
First down here on a quick throw by Strebler out to the left side, and he finds Gentry on a 3rd down completion. Strebler coming into this drive, it hit 5 of 8 for just 24 yards, but this is the kind of throw that you have to be able to make on 3rd down to keep drives alive.
Gentry caught that ball. He did bobble it a little bit. You got to think that had he not, all he had to do was beat one guy, and he was scoring. But those are the things, as a young receiver, you want to see, does he catch the ball cleanly so then he can make a move and get past that corner? That's how the coaches break down this tape. Whereas if you're watching at home, you can say, great, we got a 1st down. That's fantastic. It's the little things, and it's the specific points.
This is ruled a catch and a fumble that will end the drive. Nate Wozniak made the catch, but then lost the handle on it, and the Minnesota offense is stopped on the turnover.
Wozniak is one of the contenders to replace Max Williams at tight end. He's 6'10" out of Indiana. Somehow escaped playing basketball. He was looking at Miami for schools, but a 6'10" frame is a pretty good target for a quarterback to look to.
From the diamond to the field on their own 35-yard line. We've talked a lot about the offense throughout the day today. Defensively, Tracy Claeys said he wanted to see a group be physical today. And when I asked him about some of the specific things from an X's and O's standpoint that they needed to improve from a year ago, one of the first things he said was, we have to be able to contain quarterbacks better. The Gophers were beaten on quarterback scrambles more than just a few times last year. Today, they've done a decent job, other than the one long run by Strebler, keeping quarterbacks hemmed in.
Yeah, and I think that's the asterisk, right? It's the other than, but all it takes is one long run by a quarterback to sink you in a game. And that's exactly what they're looking for, is to eliminate big plays. On the whole, the defense has done a pretty good job. And again, I have to mention that without safeties and corners playing, without the starters in there, that makes such a massive difference when it comes to those breaking plays. If you don't have your 2 starting safeties in, does Strebler run all the way down the field? Probably not, right? So I think it's how do the younger guys react in those situations. So it's not necessarily a direct correlation, but it's certainly an indicator that they have to look to.
Have to be pleased with the way some of the other options in the secondary have responded today. They've done a good job against Minnesota's pass attempts throughout the afternoon. 3rd and short situation here with Rhoda under center. Smith hit the backfield and stopped. Penetration up front, and the Minnesota defensive line celebrating a little bit. Andole on the tackle that time for Minnesota. Had plenty of help. And we'll continue with the Minnesota Gophers spring football game on BTN. Because Mitch Leidner has to take a break to visit with Justin Konzemius.
Thanks, Anthony. Here is starting quarterback Mitch Leidner. Mitch, 15 practices this spring. It gets to be a little bit of a bear. Talk about the game today, though. How do you think things went for your offense?
I thought it went pretty well. We were able to put a couple scores on the board, but obviously we want more than that. But I mean, with the few opportunities we got, I feel like we were able to do something with it.
So the team gets together in the off-season. The coaches take a couple different trips. They come back. They decide to run a no-huddle offense. Tell us about what the no-huddle offense enables your offense to do and how it's progressed this spring.
I mean, it just gives us the ability to go up-tempo when we want to, and, we got some weapons on the outside to be able to get them the ball quicker and get the ball out quick, get, bubbles, quick throws, whatever it may be, to get the ball in those guys' hands and let them run with it.
Speaking of the wide receivers, lots of young talent here right now, lots of length, a lot of speed. What are your thoughts on the development, and just where have you kind of meshed the best with this wide receiving group?
Yeah, I mean they're all a hardworking group. These young guys are, and you know a couple of them have been injured throughout spring ball, but they're all healthy today and looking good. And I mean Jeff Jones out of all of them probably surprised me the most, playing both running back and receiver this spring, and you know really these past couple weeks playing more receiver and really stepping up and learning that role and been playing well.
Speaking of surprises, you had a big running back a year ago, put up 1,600 yards rushing. How do you replace him, and what's the development of those running backs been this spring?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, a lot of people are going to be surprised with how good our backfield is next year. And, you know, that first drive today with Roderick going down, carrying, you know, the entire defense on his back and running his way into the end zone, you know, he's a great player and he's a big physical kid. And then Rodney Williams as well, who's just, he's got that fast explosiveness to get out on the outside, too. And, I mean, there's a lot of good competition there in the backfield. And I'm excited to see those guys compete through summer into camp.
Speaking of summer into camp, it's September 3rd. It's Labor Day Thursday. You got TCU here at the bank. What do you need to do as the leader of this team between now and that date to get this team ready to compete with one of the top teams in the country?
Right, I think it's just keeping guys motivated and keeping guys working hard throughout summer. You know, like you said, we got the no huddle thing going on right now, and we got to keep continuing to get more comfortable and more confident with that. And with the young receivers get more comfortable and confident, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be good for us in the offensive passing game. So, you know, just keep that rolling all the way through camp. And you know, we got a big one on September 3rd, and it's gonna be a fun game, good atmosphere.
We do. Let's go back to high school. Last question. Do you remember the Linneman Challenge?
Yeah, I do.
How'd that go?
It was good. I think I beat him.
All right, back up to you, Anthony and Tom.
Justin, well, let's flash back a couple of years. The Linneman Challenge, Linneman v. Leidner.
Number one, this is a challenge about accuracy, so obviously we're going to be using pineapples. I'll use my pineapple, you use yours. We're going to put it up on a garbage can, and whoever can knock it off the garbage can, best 2 out of 3 wins.
All right, you better be ready.
I'm ready. Let's see how good.
Pretty sure I won this drill, if I remember correctly. Yep.
You're very good at hitting pineapples. Man, you destroyed that thing. So now it's 2-1. Mitch has to make this to tie.
I'm about to seal the deal right now. All right.
Wow.
I could definitely still beat him in the challenge.
Well, if Minnesota sends a pineapple out in the slot, Leidner's got to be one of the more effective quarterbacks.
I don't think it's a crazy idea. I think you integrate as much fruit as you can to a football field. You know, Mitch is such a great guy, and there's not a better ambassador for the University of Minnesota. His brother Matt plays on the team. I was talking with his dad Jeff the other day. What a tremendous leader he is, and really a calming presence for that offense. But he's my favorite player. Like, the kid has a great sense of humor, and we're out there throwing balls at pineapples, having a blast.
So he flipped you 3 out of 5?
He beat me 3 out of 5. I asked if I could play today, but nobody seemed to return my texts.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought maybe I could get a couple plays at the end.
Quarterbacks can't be hit today.
That plays into my favor.
Certainly does. Would have liked to have seen you and Streveler each run that jaunt around the left end.
I'd still be running.
He went in from 64. You might be on the 30 about now.
I would have run out of bounds probably. Just get the first down. Get down.
Streveler this time hit as he throws, and he comes up short on 3rd down. And the Gopher defensive coaches applauding. It's really been an impressive day for their defense. We talked about the fact that some of the secondary not in the lineup today. Their secondary's been solid, but their linebacker play has been very good.
It absolutely has. And there you saw pressure. You know, I talked to Devondre Campbell the other day, and he lost a little bit of weight. Everyone's trying to just be a little bit more athletic and try to eliminate those big plays like we talked about earlier. But you're right, with the exception of that first drive in which Roderick Williams essentially ran down the field by himself, defense has been spectacular, and that's a great sign. That's what you'd expect coming out of a spring game, is for the defense to be ahead. I was actually shocked at that first drive, but a pretty good showing by Tracy Clay's group, which has become sort of Minnesota's calling card the last few years. The amount of respect that Tracy Clays has gotten and how he's brought some of these players up. These aren't 5-star recruits that he's getting. These are guys that they're putting in position. And talking to Brock Green the other day, he was saying how just trust the defensive coaches. Coach Savell knows exactly what you need to do. Coach Plays knows exactly what you need to do. Follow their advice.
Impressive catch here by Brian Smith on the sidelines on this Chris Streveler throw.
And that'll be fun for Brian Smith. It's on tape, right? It's the last taste that the coach is getting in their mouth, and that was an athletic play to go up. Really, he wasn't open. Streveler showing some confidence to throw it.
Here he goes up top, and good coverage in the end zone results in an incomplete pass. This is a defense that has to replace Damian Wilson, their leading tackler from a year ago. But they do return key guys, secondary aside. I mean, you've got the cover guys back in Eric Murray, the big play guy back in Buddy Calhoun. The key appears that it'll be the guys in the middle. Guys like Celestin, Devondre Campbell, Jack Lynn. Can these guys stabilize the defense? Tracy Claeys really doesn't like to rotate linebackers much. He likes to keep his 4 guys on there. You mentioned more than just a few of them trying to become a more lean athlete to be able to play the game with a little more speed.
And Campbell's a perfect example of that, where he came in as a track guy, speed guy, put on a bunch of weight. He was up at almost 250 last year. And interviewing the other day after practice, he was talking about he just felt a little sluggish at that weight. And so now he's down 10 pounds as well, which is kind of the theme for the Minnesota Gophers. But then talking to Kill about him afterwards, Kill's response was, well, he was pretty good before, but he's becoming really good now. And I think that's that difference. It's those small tweaks, just being a little bit more athletic. It's making a big difference for the defense.
It's a community college transfer that last year was the 3rd leading tackler for Minnesota defensively. Today I've been particularly impressed with the active presence of Celestin in the middle. Been in on several hits for Minnesota. Celestin, a guy that was battling a couple of minor injuries throughout spring football.
Another player I'm really excited about this year is De'Aaron Cochran, who, if you look at last year and then the previous year, his sack totals were down last year. But people can't equate sack totals with production, because a lot of it has to do with who you're playing. If you're playing Ohio State and a bunch of 3-step type drop teams, your sack totals are going to be down. It's how many balls you bat down. It's how many times you force a running back inside. But I'm excited for Cochran this year as well at defensive end.
Watch this hit. Smith, who's been a physical runner at times today, stopped dead in his tracks. So it's another long field goal attempt. This one not from Santoso, who hit from 56 earlier. And this one is well short. Andrew Hardy on this field goal attempt, and he comes up a couple of yards short. So they'll reset once more. A couple touchdowns for the offense today. One by Roderick Williams, one on a long run by Chris Streveler, a long field goal by Santoso. But it's been a day that the defense has dominated for Minnesota.
The defense has dominated. But what I wanted to see out of Mitch Leidner was the 3rd down completions. Was that 3rd to 5, 3rd to 9, 3rd and 9 type of completion, and he did do that today. And that's the biggest step, I think, that he's looking to take. And you can just tell how confident he is and how much different it feels. Once you've played a full slate of a season, everything slows down. And to me, he showed a lot on 3rd down completing balls.
Streveler goes long down the middle, and it is dropped. He had Gant open in one-on-one coverage, delivered the football on target, and Gant could not come up with it.
Oh, a perfectly thrown ball by Streveler on a play-action pass. This is a post over the middle. This is a perfect example of how you have to temper excitement with young receivers. Gentry, Gant, some of these guys, you watch them in practice, and they'll make a play that's extraordinary, and you're ready to put them into the NFL draft. But then it's the consistency. And you got to remember, these guys are still young. They're both underclassmen getting their first shot. It's going to be a tough one for Gant to watch, for sure, in film.
Berkeley Edwards on this carry close to a first down. Roderick Williams set the tone for the day for Minnesota's first-team offense with a touchdown on the first series. He's with Justin Kazemius.
Thanks, Anthony. Here with Roderick Williams, big guy to replace in David Cobb. Obviously, he kind of set the bar high. But you've done a lot getting ready for your senior year. You lost some weight. You feel light, more explosion in your moves. Tell us about what you've done to prepare for your senior year.
Pretty much just, trying to lean out, trying to move with my teammates. You got all these physical guys out here. You got guys who can cover the field or whatever. And I guess I was just kind of lacking in that area. I mean, I had the physicality, but just wasn't able to keep my, keep my weight down and stuff like that. So, I lost 20 pounds this spring. Just eating the right things, stuff like that. And just staying conditioned, running a little more and stuff like that, just to be able to, compete on the field with everyone else.
What did you learn last year, although you played some, what did you learn on the sidelines watching David Cobb go after his big year that he had for the Golden Gophers?
You just got to stay in it, basically. Like, you never know when, when it's your time. So, like, when I first got here, David was sitting on the sideline as well. And then when his time came, he took the opportunity and he just took advantage of it. So basically, just, anytime you get out there on that field, just basically show out. Don't leave anything out there.
The offense has some guys to replace. We mentioned David Cobb, Max Williams, but you go to a different scheme right now. You went to a no-huddle offense in spring football practice. How has that progressed, and how does that really enable this team to be stronger on offense in 2015?
I guess it's kind of forcing everybody, to learn faster, learn quicker. So in a way, it's kind of making people mature quicker. Basically, the only way you're going to get out there on the field is if you know the signals, if you know the plays, and then you know how to get your eyes back to the line and get the play. So I guess in a way, just making everyone mature better as a team.
Final question here. You've been here ever since Coach Kill's been here. How have you seen this program evolve over the course of your short 4 years? What's it like now versus when you first got here?
I guess now everyone's got they're in the motion, the routine of they know how Coach Kill works. They don't try him, play games with him. He's a mean little man, so basically get your job done, get your work out the way, and you won't have a problem with him. But if, of course, you start messing up in class and school and stuff like that, then there are repercussions and stuff like that, and then the whole team has to pay for that. So I guess the team is doing a good job of, getting on other players instead of waiting for the coaches to do it.
Roderick, best of luck getting ready for 2015 in your kickoff game September 3rd versus TCU.
Thank you.
Back to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Justin. Williams, as we mentioned earlier, the most experienced Gopher runner in terms of number of carries, 140 career carries, 8 career touchdowns, and has made some big runs in big games for Minnesota as a spot player. This time he has a chance to be the featured back, to be the go-to back for Minnesota.
And he's taking it extremely seriously. On his recruiting visit, it's a well-heralded story now, but he ate 50 chicken McNuggets. And so his nickname, of course, became Nugget or Nug or some derivative of that. But now, losing that weight in the offseason, I think what it shows is a commitment. And the word you hear most out of Jerry Kill's mouth is accountability. And there you heard from a guy who said, you know what, I have an opportunity to take control. And what he did in that first drive, carrying 3 tacklers into the end zone, was exactly that. So I think that maybe that's probably the biggest highlight of the day, was that run by Roderick Williams after how he's prepared in the offseason, how he's changed his body and his approach for the spring. He's a big winner out of today. Nug. You can still call him Nug, I think. Once you got a cool nickname like Nug, you still call him Nug.
Well, why? You have no reason to change.
No, and if you could eat 50 chicken McNuggets, period, you deserve a nickname. That's amazing.
Big third down for Strebler here for this Minnesota offense. After a timeout, they go to Edwards, and he's stopped in the backfield. So the Gopher defense once again comes up with a big play on a third down. We'll continue with the Gopher Spring Game on BTN. Connor Rota's in at quarterback. for Minnesota. One of 3 quarterbacks we've seen throughout the day today. Rhoda stands in, delivers underneath. It's caught by Will Rieger. Local product from Burnsville, Minnesota, for a gain of about 4.
It's a very local connection, Cretin-Durham Hall to Burnsville.
So now a second down spot. These, the drives here that now might determine which of these players at least have the attention of the coaching staff. A little bit deeper in the depth chart. But which guy is going to at least open some eyes here on these last couple of series and become a player that Tracy Claeys or Matt Limegrover or Jerry Kill are at least watching into fall camp?
Yeah, you're 100% right. If you're a fan, you're not going to see the recognizable names that you expect. You're not going to see Brian Body Calhoun or Mitch Leidner right now. But for a coaching staff, these plays are every bit as important as seeing some of the early plays. That's a strike by Connor Rhoda. That's a perfect example. Here you have a walk-on kid coming in, getting an extended amount of time. Rhoda receives in the shotgun, steps up, and delivers a perfect strike over the middle in a Big Ten spring game. I mean, it's all about understanding that speed and how everything fits together.
Strike to a player that's been among the most impressive. You heard Mitch Leidner refer to Jeff Jones as maybe the most surprising offensive player for his team during this spring football practice. Let's go back down to Justin.
I'm one of the anchors of the offensive line, but been banged up the last couple years. John Christensen, tell us about the injuries, what happened in 2014, and what you're doing to prepare for 2015.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it actually goes all the way back to 2013 when I broke my tibia and fibula in half. We were in Indiana and got driven into my leg, and it snapped both the tibia and fibula, and I knew it was broken on the field. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to walk again, didn't know if I was going to run again, yet alone play again. So I was so grateful that modern medicine, they were able to put a rod down the middle of the tibia. They just literally put it down the middle of the bone. And after that, I spent the next few months learning to walk again, learning to run again, and then ultimately learning to play football again.
How much did you play in 2014?
It was started out limited on special teams and progressively went more and more and more. And then finally in the Missouri game, I was able to start. I was well enough.
Now, what have you done this spring practice? Have they limited you a little bit, right? But you're ready to go for 2015 and the start of the real season here?
Yeah. The rod was giving me a significant amount of pain this past season, so we decided to take it out. So that's what we did this past February. We had a really minor surgery, took out the rod, and then I was able to really run well and get my leg strengthened throughout the spring ball rather than beat it up more during the practices. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, is just gaining strength back, getting that incision healed up from where the rod came out. But it feels great. It feels amazing having that rod out.
Big change of this offense in this spring football practice is putting a no-huddle offense. From an offensive line standpoint, you know, we spend so much time talking about the receiving group and the running back group. What does that have to do for you guys in preparing to get on the field?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that you got to be in really good shape to run a no-huddle offense. It's something that is really effective when you can get drives going, get that defense worn down. But as an offensive line, we just have to be in the best shape of our lives coming into this season. It's a challenge for us, and we can't wait.
When you're not playing football, you got a lot going on in school. Tell us what you're trying to do from an academic standpoint in terms of your degree and what you hope to do after your football playing days are done.
Yeah, well, I just finished a biochemistry undergrad degree, and now I'm pursuing a master's in public health, ultimately going on to medical school, hopefully to become an orthopedic surgeon. Unfortunately, I've gotten to know enough of them through all my football injuries, but that's the plan right now. I've also applied for the university nomination for the Rhodes Scholarship, so it might go that way as well. But right now the plan is medical school and orthopedic surgery.
Awesome. Best of luck, John.
Thank you so much.
Guys, I felt small earlier next to Max Williams, but I tell you, I feel really small next to John Christensen.
Thank you.
Now the camera makes him look bigger, Justin. Don't worry about that. You're talking about a minor surgery to have a rod pulled out of your tibia. That doesn't sound minor to me.
Right. No, it's not. And talk about a great kid. It's one of those interviews you hear and you're like, well, if I have a daughter who's 18 to 22, that's a perfect guy for her to be interested in. Sorry, he's already married. He's the only Gopher football player who's married. And the story I love is Matt Limegrover was worried that he might not come back after that big injury. But before spring ball, somebody did something they weren't supposed to do on the offensive line. And the staff was trying to decide what they were going to do about it. Instead, Christensen came up to Limgrover and said, "Don't worry about it, Coach, I got it." And that's the type of leadership that a guy like Christensen can bring. So that says two things. Number one, thank God he's coming back. But number two, it's that calming presence, and it's that type of team attitude that Christensen has. What a spectacular young man.
It sounds like a tremendous future ahead, but his football playing days are over. Got to believe biochemistry degrees are not just handed out to anybody.
No, and working in multiple degrees while you're playing football, I was lucky to get 1 degree, and I thought that was pretty good. But I am very familiar. He had the rod put in his leg. I have a fibula that's put together with a big plate and 8 screws. So it's a devastating injury, not just physically, but also mentally.
Where we saw the video of the injury there, and we saw his reaction. I was there the day your leg broke, and there were no smiles and high fives when they were carting you off the field.
I think I was probably bawling. That hurt. He's a lot tougher than I am.
After a timeout, it's a 4th down play with Rhoda at the quarterback spot for Minnesota. Rhoda stands back, throws over the middle, and it's caught for a touchdown by Jacob Kirsch.
That's exactly what Connor Rhoda needed to do. Stood in the pocket, delivered the football. Not an easy situation for a walk-on to come in, have this much time, 4th down, and hang in the pocket long enough until a receiver breaks open.
So Santoso has lost the visor, gone back to the helmet. He will try to add the extra point.
Good thing there's a net. That ball would have gone to St. Paul. What a leg.
So an impressive drive led by the walk-on quarterback from Cretin-Durham Hall, Connor Rhoda. Converted a couple of 3rd downs along the way and ultimately score on a 4th down from inside the 5-yard line.
And he showed a diversity of talent as well. He had the long completion over the middle. He ran the football effectively. So a lot of good film for Connor Rhoda. Of course, coaches can always find something on which you can improve. But a pretty good effort.
So another series starts with Rhoda at the quarterback spot. Sends a man in motion to the near side, and Rhoda stands in to throw. Throws low, but it's caught by Sardina on the far sideline. And Rhoda looks to be gaining more poise as the day progresses.
He does. There he delivered the ball to the sideline. Good throw. I think, again, you have to look at the entire package. He knew he was going to go there. It looked like he picked that out before the snap. So it's the little things as you're a quarterback. Drop straight back, look ahead, keep the safety where he needs to be. If you know he's going to be there, then you can deliver it. It's those small nuances that you learn throughout your college career.
Then they go back to the ground. And Kirsch barrels for a 1st down. Man who just caught the touchdown pass on the last drive moves the chains here.
It's a little extra exercise running into the end zone. Let's see if he's down. He might not have been.
Ooh, look at that.
They just showed it up on the big screen, and fan reaction says that maybe that wasn't just extra exercise. Great agility. No, he's not down.
That's a heck of a play.
That's a touchdown. It's a spring game for the officials too, Anthony. Just getting the kinks out.
Smith is hit immediately after making this catch over the middle. It's an impressive bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a chance to catch his breath on the sidelines after a play that I'm sure has impressed the offensive coaches here for Minnesota.
Surprised he wasn't able to get anyone to throw a challenge flag in the spring game.
Rhoda to throw again, and it's high and incomplete through the hands of Desmond Gant. Coach Kill referred to 4 receivers that redshirted a year ago. Gant, one of them. Any of them caught your eye today?
You know, Gant had the drop on the post. I feel like that ball was catchable. It was a little bit high. But those are the plays you have to make. And I think Gentry's done some decent things. Could he do just a little bit more? If he hadn't bobbled that ball, I think he scores. He's that good of an athlete. You know, Jeff Jones has been pretty good today. I would probably say Jeff Jones, and I think he's going to continue to get better. Remember, this is his first experience playing wide receiver. But for all these guys, what's going to happen is they're going to have a flash where you see Desmond Gant make a play, and you're going to be like, that's amazing. He's brilliant. He's all Big Ten right now.
Bobbled and then knocked away and incomplete. Jerry Gibson was the intended receiver.
Same thing with Gentry. You're going to see guys make unbelievable flashes. It's all about consistency, though. Here's Jerry Gibson. This is another contender. Gibson was working out with the wide receivers. Now he's playing some tight end, more of a pass-catching guy as they look to replace Max Williams. But that's what you have to expect from young receivers, is they'll have a flash where one day or one practice or one series, you'll think they're ready for the league, and the next series, they'll drop a ball. That's normal. That's a normal expectation to have.
Rhoda goes long looking for Gant, but he overshot him, and it's incomplete. And that will bring us to the end of the scrimmage here at TCF Bank Stadium.
Gophers win.
The United States Marine Corps leader of the game is Mitch Leidner, the Minnesota quarterback. Hit 5 of 11 throws today, led the starting offense to a touchdown on their first drive of the game against the starting defense.
He had that big throw on third down that extended the drive, that fade route. But overall, he made some throws on third down today. I think that was the key for Leidner, was the 5 of 11 still not blowing the doors off of anyone, but the completions he made were clutch completions. They were the third down and intermediate. That's what sustains drops.
Coach Kill addressing the team here after the spring game scrimmage is complete. Coach Kill has established a culture here at the University of Minnesota where the expectations are higher than they've ever been.
The word's accountability, right? And that's the word that any Gopher football player you talk to, if they don't say accountability at some point in the conversation, I'd be very surprised. And that's where it starts. That's exactly where it starts.
Christian University. If you are staying for the autograph session, please enter the field near the stairs.
We'll listen in here to Coach Kill momentarily.
152 and
get in here tight. Get in here tight.
Will last for roughly 30 minutes. Thanks again, and please drive home safely.
All right, pay attention now. You got to listen. All right, couple things. It'd be good to watch the film, get a good evaluation. You know, not much I'll really say until you see that. A couple other things, understand from the offensive side of the ball, you know, we weren't in a lot of 12 personnel, some of that kind of stuff. Didn't want to show it a bunch. So some of you tight ends didn't get as much. There's a reason for it. Don't worry about it. We know what you've done over a period of your work. So you've all done a good job. The biggest thing is, you know, Monday, weight room, everything starts again, and you're really in the third quarter. Everybody understand that?
Sure.
And you've got to continue to work and keep pushing yourself, because if you want to be really good, that's what you got to do. So third quarter time, you got to continue to move forward. Second thing is, the most important thing, and I talked to you about your activity this evening, all right? You need to be smart, No problems. I talk to you about it all the time. Do y'all get it? Because if you don't, there'll be an issue with me, and it won't be good. So be smart. Do what you're supposed to do. Now, I think they're going to have some kids and stuff, may want your autographs. Stick around. Be good to the people. You owe them a lot. So, again, good work. Be smart. Stay together. Take care of each other. Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
And again, understand, you know, there might have been a guy that's even a guy that's been rotating in that we didn't do some things today. Don't worry about it. We're going over the body of work that you've done. Everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
There shouldn't be anybody got a long face in here. You made a mistake, something happened, don't worry about it. That's a great thing. Last I knew, we didn't come back to camp to August 1st, and we got a long way to go. But we got to keep working. All right, Mitch, break us down, get us out.
Yeah! We know it's spring ball! Yeah! And Mitch got the breakdown! Yeah! We ain't the fuck about here! Family on three! 1, 2, 3! Family! You better go! You better go!
So Slick, you ain't gonna bring your helmet nowhere, huh?
Sounds like they're excited to be done with spring ball.
I'm not going out tonight either. I'm terrified.
Be smart. We'll be back with more from TCF Bank Stadium in a moment. Championships start in the spring. Our guys deliver the latest on position battles, interviews, and a breakdown of the on-field action. The Big Ten Spring Football Report coming up after our game on BTN and BTN to go. Well, let's head down to Justin with the head coach, Jerry Kill.
Thanks, Anthony. Here with Coach Jerry Kill, the 2014 Big Ten Coach of the Year. Coach, you had great weather. It seemed that at some point in the scrimmage you brought the teams together, and they played a little bit differently after that. What happened in general, the tone of this scrimmage?
Well, the big thing is I wanted a little bit more zip and a little bit more energy, and I think they did that. And, you know, it's just like anything when you're playing a lot of people and so forth. But, you know, I'm looking forward to watching the film and get the final evaluation on some players. But it wasn't sloppy, and the ball wasn't on the ground a bunch. I think we had one center quarterback exchange, and he's a rookie, and he'll get better. But overall, you know, we got a lot of work done today.
I thought that first drive, Roderick Williams really set the tone with some great runs. How's he progressed this spring now that kind of the ball's in his hand, like David Caballero, to take this running back in this running game to the next level?
Well, he's a physical runner, and he's made a lot of good cuts in the spring, and, you know, we didn't work him a lot, but he's going to be a very good player, and then Berkeley and Rodney, so we got a good combination in there.
Your offensive line, there's been some injuries, but for the most part, it looked like they played pretty well today. The offensive line, how does that unit get better for this program and get this team really ready for 2015?
Get John Christensen back. You know, he's an awful big force in what we do and a great leader. But, you know, I think we'll be good there. And, you know, my expectations, I want to be better than we were a year ago. So we got work to do. But I think this spring game and scrimmage was better than a year ago. So hopefully that's a good sign.
You held a lot of guys out of your secondary today, but talk about the skill that you guys have in the secondary and their importance to this defense.
Our four secondary guys, in my opinion, are as good as anybody in the Big Ten, and they're great players, they're great kids, good athletes, smart, and they didn't need to play today, I can tell you that.
September the 3rd, you get to bring your friend Gary Patterson, a top 5 ranked TCU Horned Frog team, to TCF Bank Stadium. What do you do between now and that game to get this program ready to take on a big opponent like TCU?
We go to work. You know, we got to go to work. We didn't do a good job, you know, a year ago, and that's my fault. But you know, we got to have great preparation, and you know, we know they're coming here, and we know each other very well. But you know, we'll play better, and I look forward to it.
Tonight, is it ice cream? Is that the dessert tonight? Do you get to go back and celebrate a little bit that you've concluded your 15 spring practices?
Well, I'm going to go check that injury report, and that comes out all right. I'll feel good.
All right. Thanks for your time, Coach. Best of luck this summer. We'll see you in 2015.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Back to you, Anthony. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Justin. You hear Jerry Kill talk, and there are certain constants every time he describes the way his team plays. And number one, he wants a team to be disciplined. And that was what he took away from this today.
Yeah, he definitely did. And he saw a lot of great things. He saw Roderick Williams take control in that first drive, dragging tacklers into the end zone. That should handle the running back controversy if there ever was one. He saw his defense be extremely physical today. He saw his quarterback deliver on third down. I think there were a lot of positives today for the Gophers.
The Gophers knew that they had some guys that would not be seen as much today because their position was already solidified. Mitch Leidner, the quarterback, is one of those. But it is evident this is his team. You can tell by the way the players respond to him.
Without a doubt. And it's going to be a much different team than last year. You're not going to see the Gophers exclusively pound the football to David Cobb. I think they're going to be able to be more vertical. I think some of these young receivers are going to work. As Jerry Kill said at the end, we're going to work. That's exactly what we're going to do. They're going to have the ability to get downfield. Jones is a receiver where you put him in the slot, he creates nightmares for defensive coordinators. So I think the team is going to be a lot more dynamic next year. You have a leader who's back in Leidner, who has another year experience. And defensively, there's not a team in America, I don't care what you say, that has a better group of defensive backs and safeties than the University of Minnesota. And just saying that is an impressive thing.
He's already got TCU on his mind. This is a very challenging schedule for Minnesota. They open with TCU, a team that'll be rated in the top 5. They finished in the top 5 last year. At Ohio State, at Iowa, home games against Nebraska and Michigan, among others. But it starts out with as challenging a game as you can find in a non-conference situation. And yes, Minnesota's expectations are different, but keep in mind that last year when they faced TCU, nobody knew they were a top 5 team at that point.
That's right. And I talked to Devondre Campbell about TCU, and he thought they were even better than Ohio State. Ohio State, who ran away with the national championship in the playoffs. So TCU will be an extremely tough test, but it's almost like a pattern. Gary Patterson, the way he's built that program, seems like he's just a few years ahead of Jerry Kill, doesn't he?
Perhaps one of the areas that Minnesota felt they were behind was speed, particularly at the receiver spot.
They got it. They got it with Desmond Gant. They have it with Isaiah. They got speed now. Jeff Jones, they had such a dimension. I can't wait for fall football.
Minnesota will get it started in the fall with a challenging game here at TCF Bank Stadium against TCU. This afternoon, some questions answered. More will be once the coaching staff sits down and studies what they saw here today. Hope you enjoyed the University of Minnesota's spring football game. Coming up next, it's the BTN Spring Football Report. This has been a presentation of the Big Ten Network. So long from TCF Bank Stadium.